Even though Slippy is more represented than Mario and CC right now, I still think as Victor it's important to know how to play against Arachne Marionette because Mario targets Slippy, which means its meta share is probably going to be popular in Kansas City. With that in mind, there are some pretty standard things to be aware of that come from the Assassin side. The first one is Bonds of Agony. Bonds of Agony is played in every Assassin deck. It's something we have to respect and we have to be afraid of because Bonds of Agony can just take really good power cards out of our hand. You have to really understand how to block it, what the numbers look like, where you want to be blocking, and things like that. The other card that really shines with Bonds of Agony is Take Up the Mantle. So this is where I think Mario is a little different than Slippy. Mario wants to make sure that we're marked more often than not so that they can activate their hero ability, but they also really like to use Take Up the Mantle as a cool way to play Bonds of Agony from graveyard or to get a Mark of the Black Widow or just some other like really nifty tricks. I think Take Up the Mantle is one of the most powerful assassin attack reactions that they have, so look out for this card and kind of try to find the play patterns there. Past this, cards that we have to be aware of are Codex of Frailty. Codex of Frailty is just a really good value card. It gives our opponent the opportunity to get a card like Leave No Witnesses back from their graveyard and then pressure our arsenal, especially since I'm not on any defense reactions in my list. But Mario is very popular and can do some really cool things. With that in mind, Victor looks to disrupt Mario by using cards like Chokeslam. Red Chokeslam is a great way to take the pumps off the board and not have to worry about anything. It really prevents them from like getting super aggressive, and it also stops them. It makes them block with a couple of cards normally, which can be good because the more they're blocking, the less offense they're playing. The same goes for Crush the Weak. Crush the Weak stops them from playing things with base power 3 or less. It can be really nice because of a lot of assassin attacks are base power 3 or less, and a lot of their biggest disruption pieces also fall in that category. So even though we may only force a defense reaction out of their hand, it's still good to get cards out and try to slow them down and leak some damage through. When we talk about how to play this defensively, Test of Iron Grip is our newest defensive card, and it looks to be an absolute all-star in this matchup. Making our opponent discard a card, especially if they only have one card in hand, or like really just trying to slow them down when they're trying to apply a lot of offense, is really great. But please be careful. Blocking with Test of Iron Grip is just like, you shouldn't always slam it on the first thing they throw at you. You should be patient and look for opportunistic windows to try to get specific cards out of their hand, like maybe making them discard a Codex of Frailty or making them discard a Justinic. Try to get power cards with it and look to use that optimally. And then, as always, we have Trounce. Just being able to utilize Trounce to fuel good 2-card hands is really good. It helps us play defense. If we have a Surge floating already, we can throw Spinal Crush off of 1 card. Well, 2 cards if you count the Spinal Crush. We're able to not have a Surge and throw Chokeslam for an extra point of value without having to worry about the Seismic Surge. So there's a lot of really good things that Trounce can do, and Victor is able to apply enough pressure to try to close the game out. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed the match. All right, we're playing against Mario, and we are going second. Drawing Test of Iron Grip in the opening hand isn't exactly ideal, so I think we're just going to go ahead and pitch it so that we can stack it and set it up a little bit here. We will just go ahead and throw Cranial Crush and just get on the board for 8. I like setting up a new Surge. We had the option to potentially Arsenal the Headbutt, make a new Surge, and like swing the Miller's Grindstone and just give ourselves an intellect penalty. But normally these games are kind of grindy, so I really like the idea of having this Test of Iron Grip pitch stacked into our second cycle. And plus, Cranial Crush might force some cards out of our opponent's hand here. They may just want to block to save a little life. They may not care. Obviously, they have a Bonds of Agony in their hand that they almost blocked with, so now I wish we'd kept the Test of Iron Grip. Oh, we drew another one. Just kidding. We're just built like that. Oh. I don't really want to get marked. I don't want to have to block with a bunch of cards in our hand, but it feels kind of necessary at this point. Knowing that they pitched the Bonds, I think we'll just try to keep this. Actually, we don't want to keep this because of our pitch stack Test of Iron Grip. Blocking with 2 of these feels really bad, but I'm going to do everything I can to try and avoid getting marked if I can help it. I am going to try and hold the Test of Iron Grip to see if we can like try and like get their last card or something. I I mean, they would take all of the Thunderquakes out of our deck. I think I'm willing to let this happen. I think I'm just willing to let this happen. We have a Crush the Week on top of the deck. They have an Orb Weaver Spinneret. So they would have to have... Like, they obviously wanted to Arsenal something. So they have to have another reaction here. And then they have to be willing to give up Flick Knives and Snaps, which I'm okay with. Knowing that we have a Crush the Week on top, I'm just going to swing the hammer here for 4 with the relevant on-hit effect. We can start our game plan of trying to use Miller's Grindstone here to just try and get some value, especially knowing that we have a Crush the Week on top. I don't think there's anything in their deck that even ties Crush the Week, to be honest, but if there is, like, I don't see a world where they're beating us. Defense reaction from Arsenal? No, they're just okay with losing. And okay, they have a blue Spinneret. Was hoping for something a little bit better there, but beggars can't be choosers. We have a lot of blocking cards in our hands, so I'm pretty willing to go ahead and give this up just to try and avoid getting marked. I was like, hopefully we don't have to reclash here. That would feel kind of bad. All right, they have a Test of Iron Grip on top, or I'm sorry, they have a Shelter from the Storm on top of their deck, and we put a Disable to the bottom. So that next Test of Iron Grip that we have, that first one that we pitch stacked, if we get back to it, we are in a position to where we're pretty comfortable. We are pretty comfortable with the Test of Iron Grip, like it's going to hit. I am marked. I think I'm okay blocking with the Test of Strength, or maybe I'm supposed to just take 5 here. I think we can just take 5. That feels pretty bad. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're just going to get stuck with all of these cards in our hand? That feels a little bad. I mean, we're not marked anymore, so there's that, but that did not have the impact I wanted it to. So I think we're going to pitch to Tectonic Plating. And then we're going to overpitch to throw Crush the Week for 8. And then we're just going to keep the Test of Iron Grip in our hand. Utilizing the last Test of Iron Grip here efficiently is a pretty good play for us. We could have kept the Test of Strength in hand to try and set up like a better Goldmane estate if we draw into the last one, because only having 1 left in our deck is a little clunky. Kind of hoping to not have to block with 2 of them on that 1 turn cycle. We could have pitched the Goldmane estate to Miller's Grindstone, but pitching the Thunderquake guarantees that even if we do have to reclash and like recycle some of the bottom of our deck, that we're going to be in a good spot to actually get. We're going to be in a good spot to actually get the Test of Iron Grip during that turn cycle when we need it. So we're going to go Test of Strength first. We're going to skip Arsenaling, and we're going to hold this in our hand. We'll see how they decide to play this one out. Okay, Savor Bloodshed, sure. I mean, Savor Bloodshed. I mean, if they really want to flick this at us, like, I guess that's fine. I'm almost thinking we're just going to... Man, I don't know. I hate to block with this because we're getting, like, almost no value out of it. But I don't want to just, like, keep giving myself an intellect penalty for this. Yeah, I guess we'll just take 2. I think this is fine. We'll take 2, we'll throw our Command and Conquer at them, make a new Surge, and then again, we'll just continue to hold on to the Test of Iron Grip here. They will at some point set up a hand that makes it to where we can get away, we will get to use this card. Hopefully, anyway. If not, I might just be giving myself an intellect penalty for no reason over and over again. They're probably aware that since we pitched a Test of Strength and we gave ourselves an intellect penalty on that turn, that we are holding another Clash card, or they're thinking that we had a blue that we didn't want to Arsenal. It's more likely that we have another Clash card, like just for anybody who like might be like wanting to learn Victor or learn to play against Victor. If your opponent pitches a Clash card and then they keep a card in their hand when they could have arsenaled at the end of the turn, it means that they probably have a excuse me. It means they probably have another Clash card in hand. Okay, so they kept their hand here. Intriguing. I am intrigued that they kept their hand. Orb Weaver Spinneret gives the next thing with Stealth +3. So we know they have a T-Tox in their hand, and we know they have a Leave No Witnesses, so that's the last 2 cards in their hand. So if I was to block Test of Iron Grip, we can make them discard 1 and arsenal the other. I feel pretty good about this. Yeah, they hit their best Clash card in Command and Conquer, and we're still going to make them discard because we had a disable. All right, so they have a T-Tox in their hand. I mean, if they want to arsenal Tarantula Toxin, that's okay with me. It's not like super free to play this card, so. All right, so we fall down to 20, which is not ideal, but it's okay. We're going to draw into the disable. We're going to make a new surge, and then I think we just want to throw the Grindstone and arsenal the Chokeslam is probably a better play here. I know that we have the ability to get more aggressive here with our hand, but I think this is okay. Anything I can do to get stuff like get cards off the top of their deck is a good place for us to be in. Up 6 and run is just a 0 for 4. Okay, 2 0 for 4s is pretty good. Into a Kiss of Death, huh? So we have to think about this as being. I'm assuming at this point in time that we're all right. There's no more T-Tox, so that's good. 3, 4. I think we're going to. Man, Codex would be pretty backbreaking here. Like, snap into Codex would feel pretty bad considering there's a Leave No Witnesses over there. So I think we're going to do this. And then we're just going to plan on throwing the Chokeslam for 9. Because we don't know if we'll win into a blue. Because if we went into a red, it's a good arsenal. But if we went into a blue, it would have been better to keep one of the E-Strikes. Well, now we actually just get to throw Spinal Crush for a truckload. Okay. I mean, I think this is a turn cycle that favors us. Winning into... What do we put on the bottom? We put a Thunderquake on the bottom. Winning into a Spinal Crush is about as good as it gets because now we get to throw Spinal Crush for 13. This is one of those times where RNG is just on our side and we're just like, the two card Spinal Crush play is about as good as it gets. I really like making this play because it's really going to make our opponent think. Also, the fact that we're up 3 life is really big for us. Yeah, 3 cards out of the deck is a massive win. You love to see it. I mean, they could just... Okay, and they're going to block with Codex too. Yeah, just block with the hand and just reset. I actually think that's correct from our opponent. Especially knowing that we don't have any more Goldmane estates left in our deck. I think this is a good play from them. We're going to pitch the Command and Conquer to make a surge, and then it's going to be Spinal Crush for 9. Just applying more pressure where we can. There was an option for us to make a surge, pitching the Golden Sun, and then over-pitch the blue to play the Command and Conquer to force equally 2 cards out of their hand, and then keep the Spinal Crush in hand, but I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, Den of the Spider, just a 3 block, and then a Sink Below from hand. So Command and Conquer would have went hard in this hand. Command and Conquer would have been really, really good with this hand. Man, to shut that down, that would have been awesome. I think this is our last Trounce. Yeah, I think this is our last Trounce. Yeah, this is our last Trounce. We don't have any more Test of Iron Grips, and we have 2 Test of Strengths we have not seen. I think we're just going to go ahead and block. I want to avoid getting marked if I can. And if they're keeping cards to try and like buff their daggers to mark me, I think that's a win for us. I think that's a turn cycle win for us. It's amazing how good Test of Iron Grip is in these matchups. We do have the 2 card play of blue into Spinal Crush here. which we've gotten to do once already, which is kind of neat. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and do this. I'm pretty content with just throwing the last Spinal Crush here and pitch stacking the Golden Sun for like a kill. Ooh, if they have Command and Conquer, it's a little different. So I actually think I'm okay with... Should we block with the Golden Sun here? Actually, we should block like this. If we draw red, we're gonna pitch Golden Sun in the red to play Spinal Crush. If we draw blue, we'll Arsenal the Golden Sun. I think is the best line here. Yeah, that lines up pretty well because we're like basically trying to like minimize what we're leaving ourselves open to, but we're also giving ourselves the best chance to Arsenal something good in the Golden Sun. So if we drew a red, we were still able to play Spinal Crush for 10 because of the fact that we won a Trounce and we had the Seismic Surge in play. But since we drew a blue, we get to Arsenal the Golden Sun, and our opponent's probably going to take a little bit of damage here. We're getting closer and closer throughout this game to being able to finish them off with the Golden Sun. It also feels a little bit better knowing that we have 2 more Tests of Strengths in our hand. Or I'm sorry, not in our hand, but like in our deck, like first cycle that we haven't seen. Yep, so our opponent gets to block the Spinal Crush with 2 cards, which is still pretty good for them considering that like 10 is normally like forcing equipment in some capacity, but that lines up pretty well. I'm very happy to... Are we supposed to just block 6 here and throw Crush the Week? Probably not. Probably just supposed to throw Chokeslam. There's a world we could block with both Chokeslams, both the red Chokeslams, and just throw Crush the Week. I mean, I was like, if they want to flick to mark me here, I think I'm okay with that exchange. I think that's like a total win for me if they're willing to just... If they're willing to flick Hunter's Clave to give that go again, I'm not going to be marked because the Kiss of Death comes over for 1, which means I would go to 17. I go to 18 off the physical, and then I go to 17 off of the loss of life. And I would be in a position... Ooh, they hit the Arsenal one? That's not good. That is not good at all. All right, they cover up 8, so they're still at 10. Target assassin attack. So they can put this on a dagger. They can put this on anything. So I think here to play around the +3, I don't think there's any buffs. The only buff that comes over the top, the safest play here, we'll tell our opponent that we're thinking. The safest play here is to block with Gauntlets of Iron Will. That way, if they have Arachne Funnel Web and like a Spike with Blood Rot, well, they can't do that. No, blocking with Tectonic Plating is fine here. Actually, we should just block with Shield, right? I guess the concern is that they have a Shred and they have a +3. Like they discard. I don't think they have a +3 that works with them discarding a card without Tunic up. I think blocking 7 is a safe play. Okay, snaps also make sense. I can pitch Crush the Week to Quickdodge Flexors here if I need to. We also have the option of just blocking like this to play around just a Nick. Yeah, I think that's the better play. We can play around just a Nick this way, so we get to use our arm piece in a good way here. Now, it's possible it was just the +4 effect. I'm sorry, it was just a +3 from the Funnel Web, which would have also been fine blocking with Gauntlets and Tech Plating. But we're up 9 points, and I can play a more secure defensive plan with giving up less armor by blocking with Crush the Week to play just a little bit less offense. Because Miller's Grindstone is fine. If you look at their deck size, there's 24 cards in their deck. Like, we're kind of like, we're chewing through it a little bit. And if they're willing to give me Shelter from the Storm on Miller's Grindstone, that's a game-winning plan for us. That is a game-winning plan for us every day of the week and twice on Sunday. See, there's a test of strength. We're going to do our best to try and flip the game this turn. We're going to start by blocking with a Wallop. I do not like blocking 4 on Pain in the Backside. I will block 4 on other cards, but I do not like it here. I mean, even if this is just a Nick, it's just value. I think I'm okay with that. We have a few golds. We're going to go ahead and target ourselves. I was like, leaving Kiss of Death on top is not the best thing in the world, but I think it's fine because we need to make sure we're winning that clash, and there's no guarantee they don't hit an attack there. Okay, so their hand was actually just terrible? I mean, I'm not complaining. I just kind of thought they were going to like, I figured they would play the Just a Nick there to get value out of it. Okay, so they do want to undo. Let's see. If you want to play a reaction, we need to start over. No worries. They are, yeah, they're apologizing. Like, I completely get where they're coming from. I appreciate them being transparent. They said they forgot to play the react. I think we've all been there. And this has been a pretty back and forth game, so I want to see this game play out to its fullest conclusion here. I definitely want to see this game play out to its fullest conclusion. So I am more than happy to go back and play this out correctly because I want, yeah, see, they had the Just a Nick, which makes sense. I'm not willing to use Flexors on this. This is just a card off the top of the deck and 2 points of damage. This is not something that I think is going to, like, murder us in the long run. I am going to throw Command and Conquer here because I think throwing Command and Conquer is better than throwing the Golden Sun. We have pitch stacked some Golden Suns and we have set up a little bit trying to get ready for an endgame. We have a Golden Sun in Arsenal right now, which means that we're really looking to utilize that to try to close the game out. We want to use Golden Sun as like a way to end the game. Now, admittedly, against a lot of these assassin decks, it is pretty tough to close the game out this way. Like, it is pretty tough to close the game out with Golden Sun just because of all of the attack reactions and defense reactions they have in their decks. I'm surprised my opponent was willing to take 3 there. I'm assuming, is this like double Codex? No? I guess they could have had double Codex in that hand. There's no T-Tox. So I'm just going to block 7. We could just block 6. No, blocking 7 is the better play here. Yeah, blocking 7 is the better play. We're just going to make a new surge and throw Cranial Crush. I would love to be able to play this Rouse the Ancients here, but I think this is fine. I think this is like just throwing 8 when my opponent's at 7 is okay. I don't want to give up the Golden Sun yet. The Golden Sun is not lethal. Even if they give us a 3-block Inflict Knives, if they have no reactions in their deck, we're in a position where that's still only going to put them to 1. So I want to hold out until we can get them till about 4 or 3 is really what I'm thinking. Okay? They go down to 5, so now we start considering it, especially because we know that we have more coming up. So I love this play because the Test of Iron Grip is just absolutely backbreaking. Yeah, and we get their Take Up the Mantle out of their hand, which means that they might have another reaction in their arsenal. They might have another Just a Nick down there in their arsenal, but if they do, that's fine. We are in commanding position of the game right now. 8 Dominate is not that great right now, so I think we're just going to come in for 10, and we're going to pitch the Macho Grande because we're pitching the Macho Grande because I want to be able to like keep that in the stack. If I'm able to, like, if there's a hand where Macho Grande's on top of my deck and I drew Riches of Trōpal-Dhani as my last card, I'm then able to pitch Riches of Trōpal-Dhani to a gold to do the Pot of Greed trick, and then from there, I'm probably able to play the Macho Grande in some capacity because there's a lot of turns where you can keep Riches of Trōpal-Dhani and an extra card. So, okay. Blocking 6, and they have a Shelter from the Storm. They don't take any damage, but I'm okay with this because, again, right now we are winning the fatigue battle. Like, this is like a game that we are winning by a considerable margin. So this being for 7 means that 2 cards will technically cost us 2 life, which I don't really like. I think we're supposed to just overblock a little bit here. So we can give up the Debilitate, the Headbutt, and I think the chest piece here. This lets us play over them flicking us and marking us. I think this is a good play. And then we actually get to make a new Seismic Surge, and then it's going to be 9 overpower. Now, admittedly, 9 overpower is like not the most impressive thing when they're at 5. This could end the game. It's possible this ends the game. They probably have an attack reaction in some capacity in their hand, though. I mean, I guess there's not too many blue attack reacts, and they've tried to like pitch and set up some blues. So this might actually just end the game here. Reaper's Call. Okay, defense reaction. No. The amount of time that has passed makes me think that, okay, we did just have it. Oh, they had a Sink Below there. Interesting. So they had the Sink Below. Yeah, they would have been okay to like play the Sink Below, but I think honestly at this point they don't have the damage left. And I think we would have just fatigued them over the course of the next, like, probably 5 to 6 turns regardless. There are 2 turns during this game that I really want to talk about. The first one is turn number 3. I end up having a Test of Iron Grip and a Test of Strength in my hand when that turn is over, and that should probably never happen. So my opponent starts out by throwing the Hunter's Clave at me. I block with a Trounce, and we win with a card. We win into, like, a blue, I think. And then from there, they throw the Graphing Calculator at me after they create one. Well, after they throw the other dagger at me, I decide this isn't worth blocking, that I want to save it for something else. Well, then they played like 2 or 3 reactions, and I just ended up having to hold those 2 cards in my hand. This is a great example of how being a little bit too patient sometimes can hurt you, because early on in the game, I had a life lead, and then that turn, they were able to tie it up, and I didn't have that much offense to throw back. So it felt pretty bad, and it's just a good example of maybe be a little bit more aggressive with your blocking cards. The second turn that I want to talk about is turn number 8. On turn number 8, I got super lucky with my Trounce. I won my Trounce into a Spinal Crush. I had already planned on having like a 4-for-8 or a Golden Sun, I think, to throw that turn, but winning into the Spinal Crush because I had the Surge in play meant that I got to play a 2-card 10, which was awesome because it allowed me to block with 3 or 4 cards, still throw a 2-card 10, and then get insane value off of that turn cycle. I think you're able to like block 9 and then throw 10. So you had a like 4 to 5 card hand that was worth 19 points. And in Guardian, that's pretty good value. So that turn cycle is a really good example of how RNG and Victor can really go your way, and it's able to swing you tempo. Guys, let me know in the comments down below if I missed anything, or if you think there was a line I could have taken that would have been better. I'd love to hear about it. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys.